In the next 2 minutes, I want to make you think about and reflect on where the cheap seats are in your classroom. Now, you might be thinking, cheap seats? I've never heard that term before. Well, think about it in our own lives away from education. If we were to book tickets for a cinema, a theatre, a sporting performance, or a music gig, there would be more expensive seats and cheaper seats. And the more expensive seats would have the better views. They'd probably be towards the front, they'd be right in the middle. And the cheaper seats might have restricted views, they might be off to the side somewhere. Well, the same goes for our classrooms. Unfortunately, not all of our children in our classrooms have the same view and the same experience. Depending where people sit, they might have a very, very different view of your whiteboard and the teaching experience that they get. So let me give you an example of that. Quite often, depending on your room layout, you might have a window or a skylight that at different times of the day and different times of the year might shine light and reflect on your whiteboard. And in certain seats, that becomes very, very difficult to see some of or all of the information on your board. Unless you go around and sit in those seats and have a look when your classroom is empty, you might not even know that. So the first thing for you to do is to actually walk your room at different times of the day and have a look at the different experiences, and not just stand, but like crouch down a little bit and sit, because the level that you're stood at or you're sat at will also dictate what you see on the board and whether it is whether there's light shining on it and whether it's a restricted view. Also, typically the front end seats near the wall have the worst view. They're probably your cheapest seats if you were to think about it like that, because their view of your board is so narrow, they're so close to the board and so far out, that depending on your room layout, they might have a really, really acute view of your board. Whereas your best views, your most expensive seats if you want, are right down the middle and potentially on the aisles. The reason I say aisles as well is because they're easy for you to get in and out of, they're easy for you to check on those students, whereas the ones on the corners or right against the walls are harder to get in and out of, so you probably walk around there less. So what I want you to do is reflect on where are those cheap and expensive seats, and then who are you going to put in those seats? Who are you going to put in your more expensive seats? Do you want to put your disadvantaged students or your SEND students in the very, very best seats in your classroom? Because actually it's the best view, the best experience, and you can get round those seats and check on those students a lot more. Who are you going to put in your cheaper seats? And actually, if you don't need to fill all your seats, which cheap ones are you going to leave actually as no one is going to sit there, because you know the view from that seat is not as good. So have a walk around your classroom, look at the different experiences, have a think about where your expensive and your cheap seats are, and then think about which students you're going to put in them.